the channel for westerns and more.
Leave the things you love, you leave with a silent prayer. Though you've got no reason to go there, and there ain't a soul that you know there, when the 3:10 to you.
Did you know these classic westerns were remade?
Westerns have a long history of being often recycled, borrowed, chopped and changed for various productions, going back to the 1940s and 50s. Rebooting classics is not a new thing. It may surprise you to know some of your favourite westerns are in fact remakes. Let's take a look at some westerns, or even movies adapted from westerns. To start off, I'll make a quick mention of some of the obvious remakes that I think it's fair to say most of us are aware of and likely don't appreciate as much as the originals. Let me know. If you enjoy this video, hit the subscription button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Here we go. One of the better known remakes, which in turn influenced many other movies, The Magnificent Seven, 1960. An iconic shoot-'em-up western was released that was equal parts thrilling, comical and entertaining. Widely recognised as an influential western, also known as a remake of Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. It was actor Yul Brynner who originally approached Walter Mirisch with the idea of making a western adaptation of the Japanese classic. Akira Kurosawa, after the first screening, the Japanese director was so impressed that he sent Sturgis, a ceremonial sword, as a gift. It doesn't get more flattering than that. And yet again, The Magnificent Seven, 2016. You probably already know that this modern western is a remake of the 1960s version, but did you know that this modern western is actually a remake of a remake? The original Magnificent Seven from 1960, starring Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen, is in fact an adaptation of Seven Samurai, a 1954 black and white picture by legendary Japanese director Akira Kurosawa.
Good Lord. That's right.
That man murdered my husband.
I want something. I take it.
の育ちの暴れん坊
True Grit, 2010. If John Wayne was to be remembered for one role in particular, he would probably be best known for his grumpy, drunken, and hard-nosed US Marshal Rooster Cogburn in True Grit. It was the movie that finally won the Duke a long-awaited Oscar and took popular culture by storm. Cogburn is such a recognised character and True Grit such a notable western that when the Coen brothers announced in 2010 that they would be producing a remake, audiences were so inclined to say, "Howdy, partner."
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man. Feel your hand, you son of a bitch!
One of the remakes that seems to get a more favourable reception, 3:10 to Yuma, 2007. Like other certain classics, 3:10 was eventually remade. Director James Mangold has enough respect and discipline to honour that original film with a faithful 2010 adaptation of his own. One that doesn't compromise rich characterizations with cheap thrills. There are indeed spectacular shootouts one would come to expect from the genre, but the movie is also backed up with a rich story and fantastic performances by the two leads, Russell Crowe and Christian Bale.
Let's just get out of here. Us? How do I know you'll jump? You'll have to trust me on this one. Jump!
Most would agree this remake was not needed. The Alamo, 2004. Remember The Alamo, the 1960 movie that starred John Wayne as the frontiersman David "Davy" Crockett, directed by Wayne himself, as a small band of soldiers that stand up to a massive Mexican army in order to stop a tyrant from ruling the Republic of Texas. Its 2004 counterpart stars Billy Bob Thornton as Davy Crockett. While Wayne's original was fun, this remake is often criticised for being a rather drab affair. While Thornton is good as Crockett, there just wasn't enough meat and potatoes from the remake to allow it to stand on its own as an original movie. This may not seem appropriate at first. Outland, 1981. In the distant future, stars Sean Connery as a marshal who uncovers a huge drug smuggling ring on the Jupiter moon of Io, which allows miners on the moon to work for days on end. Sticking his nose where it doesn't belong, the marshal begins to uncover a conspiracy which has him constantly looking over his shoulder for danger. You might be wondering what a sci-fi film is doing on this video. Connery in a spacesuit doesn't look like your traditional Western. However, the script for Outland was originally intended to be set in the Wild West, loosely adapted from the 1952 film High Noon. After Ridley Scott's highly influential Alien was released, and Blade Runner being in production, director Peter Hyams decided to move this movie into outer space. The original title was changed, but Outland still remained as a working of High Noon, with Connery playing a flawed hero struggling to survive. Ned Kelly, 2003. One of Australia's most famous outlaws, bushranger to we Aussies. Ned Kelly has become a legend since his days in early Victoria. Like any famous gunslinger, filmmakers have made many movies chronicling his life, including When the Kellys Rode in 1934, The Glenrowan Affair in 1951, and a 1970 adaptation, Ned Kelly, which starred Mick Jagger as the titular outlaw. In 2003, Kelly's story was adapted yet again with Ned Kelly, which had Heath Ledger fill the heroic outlaw's shoes, with an all-star cast including Orlando Bloom, Geoffrey Rush, Naomi Watts, and Joel Egerton. The story follows the beginning of the Kelly gang as they become a part of Australian folklore.
Porridge without salt. Do you eat porridge without salt, Mrs. Scott?
Oh, never, Mr. Kelly.
Excuse me.
Someone killed old Jim Devine.
The Duke just keeps on coming. Rio Lobo, 1970. Not a shot-for-shot remake, not entirely an original production either. In 1959, director Howard Hawks and actor John Wayne teamed up to make the classic western Rio Bravo, Wayne starring as a small-town sheriff who attempts to hold in jail the brother of a local thug, with the help of a cripple, a drunk, and a young gunfighter. The film has since become a staple in the Western genre. For some reason, Hawks must have not felt he achieved perfection with this picture. He loosely adapted it in 1970 with Rio Lobo. Once again stars the Duke as a man searching for a traitor who caused the defeat of his unit in the Civil War, causing the death of his best friend. Not exactly a remake of Rio Bravo. Lobo follows a lot of the same plot points and characters. Many say it was a very loose remake of Bravo.
That's right. I told him you were one of the best.
Another director trying to finish the job. Destry, 1954. James Stewart at the beginning of his career. Destry Rides Again, 1939. Stewart as Tom Destry Jr. a deputy appointed by the new sheriff in town, who is a drunk, in order to solve a crime involving a poker game. Though Destry Rides Again is a western, it has its fair share of comedy and parodies, some of the genre's overused tropes. Director Marshall decided to remake his own film in 1954 with Destry, with Audie Murphy in the title role of a famous gunfighter. The plot this time wasn't comedic. Murphy, a tough cowboy who shoots first and asks questions later. Many consider the original to be the definitive version. There's no denying Audie Murphy's iconic take on the character, being Texas-born and a real-life war hero. Murphy is unassuming, charming and charismatic in the role. Which one is the best? Last Man Standing, 1996. Last Man Standing isn't a western, set during the Prohibition era. The traditional cowboys have been changed out for gangsters. However, it has all the familiar themes of a western, including Bruce Willis as a gunslinger who has arrived in a corrupt western town being torn apart by two ruthless gangs. It even has Christopher Walken as a hitman whose voice box has been shredded with an ice pick. Like The Magnificent Seven, this shoot-'em-up is also a remake of a remake. In 1961, filmmaker Akira Kurosawa released a movie titled Yojimbo, telling the story of a samurai who comes to town run by two gangs and decides to pit them against each other. 3 years later, spaghetti western director Sergio Leone decided to adapt the story with his film A Fistful of Dollars, with a wandering gunslinger in the West, turning two rival families against each other. In 1996, Last Man Standing was released with the same exact plot. Despite its recycled plot, it is still an entertaining action movie, even if we know how things are going to play out even before the movie gets started. A Well-Worn Trail, Stagecoach, 1966. A classic western, director John Ford's Stagecoach, released in 1939, is an icon of the genre. Arguably dated and intolerant, but still influential. It stars John Wayne in one of his earliest roles as the Ringo Kid, the heroic gunfighter willing to do anything to protect the passengers of a stagecoach. The passengers of the stagecoach work together to fight off Apaches in a climatic gunfight, and learn a little about themselves in the process. It shouldn't be attempted to be remade, and if it is, that adaptation should do something new and exciting with the story. Unfortunately, Ford's iconic western was given a poor reboot in 1966, and then an even worse one with the bizarre adaptation in 1986, containing a cast made up of music legends like Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and Chris Christopherson. Absent all the charm of the original, this should be Hollywood's last sign to leave this classic alone.
Curly, I didn't figure on you at all.
Drop the rifle, kid. I'm giving you a free ride into Lordsburg Jail, and I'll take care of the plumbers. I get paid for it, you don't. I hand over the rifle.
The Shakiest Gun in the West, 1968. Some actors that are just suited for comedy. Don Knotts was one of them. The master of any comedic genre, including family sitcoms like The Andy Griffith Show, light-hearted fantasy movies like The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, and slapstick westerns like The Shakiest Gun in the West, which stars Knotts as a bumbling, stumbling dentist turned unsuspecting gunfighter. It's actually a remake of a 1948 film, The Paleface. Knotts' adaptation doesn't exactly follow its predecessor's style. There are similarities like comic legend Bob Hope's character, who also plays an inept dentist turned cowboy. In many ways similar. Each movie has its moments, and set them apart, including two fantastic performances from Don Knotts and Bob Hope.
Buckskin or skirts that you've homespun, but I love you longer, stronger, where your friends don't tote a gun. my bones denounce. The buckboard bounce and the cactus hurts my toes. Let's vamoose where gals keep using those silks and satins.
Battle Beyond the Stars. As in Outland, every other movie from the 1980s was being adapted for sci-fi. Star Wars and Alien had blown up at the box office. Every studio was eager to get their next space race motion picture out. When screenwriter John Sayles was asked by producer Roger Corman to adapt a sci-fi version of Seven Samurai, Battle Beyond the Stars is the movie you would get if you took The Magnificent Seven and Star Wars, put them in a blender, and hit the puree button. A B movie, Battle Beyond the Stars is a fun run thanks to the cast of characters, and a tribute to its predecessors. It pays direct homage to John Sturges' Western, so much so that the movie even has actor Robert Vaughn in virtually the same role as he played in The Magnificent Seven. Of course, The Magnificent Seven itself is a remake, so Battle Beyond the Stars would technically be a remake of a remake, or perhaps a reimagining of a remake.
A battle. 黒澤明が描く壮烈な女子誌。7人の侍の中の変わり種。野育ちの暴れん坊。
みんな死ぬんだぜ。死ぬとは言っておらん。
The Outrage, 1964. With such a fascination with remaking Akira Kurosawa films, you can add The Outrage, a western starring Paul Newman that was based on the 1960 film Rashomon by Kurosawa. The original film depicts the events of a heinous crime and its aftermath, which is recalled from the point of view of witnesses. More or less the same story, different people revisiting the same act of violence through different interpretations. The Outrage is a solid adaptation with good camera work by director Martin Ritt. The performances are solid, and the script, which was partly written by Kurosawa himself, is expertly crafted, even though it is a reworking of a classic. Ritt's The Outrage still stands as a very good western.
The violence of a storm, but the violence of men, their cruelty and savageness to one another.
You were running away, preacher. Well, keep on running, keep on running, keep on, keep on, keep on.
王族、美女、資料、そしてソマウリ。4つの口が物語る4つの地獄の声を聞かされた。まさにこれは心のジャングルの藪の中の物語。ギラギラと光る重欲の目が。
中学街にそのまま知られたこの太政丸が帰って手をついてたの。頼むから俺の妻になると言ってくれ。俺の妻になると言ってくれ。
Are you confused yet? Which westerns spawn from which original, or reinvention, or reinterpretation? A Fistful of Dollars, 1964. Director Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars is recognized for starting the genre known as the spaghetti western. Slow pacing, the offsetting dubbing, violence, jarring musical scores, and vast landscapes combined created this exciting new genre and catapulted Clint Eastwood into fame in his role as the man with no name, although it spawned a whole subgenre of films. Based on Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, the same plot of two feuding crime families being played against each other by an unnamed stranger, except that the former swaps out samurai swords for six-shooters. Kurosawa eventually sued Leone and settled out of court, with the Japanese director receiving 15% of the total box office receipts from the western. you like this video, make sure you hit the notification button so you will see all my new videos as they come up. Take a look at my channel to see my many other videos. The link is in the description. Check out my Facebook page as well. I appreciate likes and subscribers. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.
The channel for westerns and more.